Hi, and welcome to this bass and creativity lesson. My name is Olivier Babaz, and welcome to this new session of 2022. I hope you guys like that series, and don't forget to subscribe if it's the case. So, today I want to cover a topic we already talked about, which is the relationship between practicing and improvisation. But today I want to talk about it through two very precise examples. So just to do a quick wrap up about my vision of things, uh, when we are working on grasping a new music material, a new music device, a new technique, a new chord color, any tool, musical tool we might want to use, I view things with three aspects. There's the emotional level, and it's generally how you hear what you want to acquire. For example, if you're working on a new chord color, you want to be able to hear it a lot in your own music as well as in others' music. So you want to get your ear used to that sound. The second aspect is the mechanical or intellectual understanding of it. So that's why you're feeling what you're feeling, and why it does do what it does in the music. And the third aspect is of course technical, so more physical, the real skill of being able to play it in various situations. So I use improvisation a lot to practice new stuff, and I'm going to take two examples today. The first one is a very simple device, and we're going to have a quick view about ghost notes on the double bass. So particularly this kind of ghost notes. So basically it's a plucked note with a dampened left hand. So very useful. That's not the click one. That's not neither a left hand slap or a right hand slap. That's really that kind of round ghost note. So we're going to just use improvisation just as a way to expand how we might use it, where in the bar we could use it, and how to integrate it with some regular bass playing. So let's start with a very simple riff using that ghost note as an afterbeat. So on the 2 and 4, for example, let's do this in C minor. So once you've got that solidly laid out, which is ghost note on the 2 and 4, just try to expand the way you're using that ghost note. Of course, change the phrase around it, but change the placement of that ghost and add some, and really experiment with various way to use it. And once you're in a comfort zone, once you're familiar with a way to use it, just move a bit out of that comfort zone just to expand a little bit more the use of that ghost note, and try to go out more and more of what you're generally doing. So once again, we're in C minor. So here, through improvisation, I identified 2 or 3 things I want to deepen with that ghost note. So the first one is using it in another place of the bar. So instead of naturally using it on 2 and 4 as an afterbeat, I might want to try more and more to use it on the first beat or on a strong beat of the bar, so first or third. The second thing I'd love to work with is combining it with a left hand articulation. So So for example, with the hammer pull-on slides and everything, it's really getting a lot of dynamic range, because you have that very percussive sound mixed with some more articulate and more round sound from the left hand. And the final one is, of course, having a combination of multiple ghost notes. So instead of having just, you can have all the kind of combination of rhythm and how to put these and where. So once again, improvising, but keeping in mind one or more of those topics will really help expand it. Let's start again, this time maybe in D minor. So a lot of options. Of course, I'm doing it here in a very, very condensed way, but really, really it's good to take the time to explore and to open multiple possibilities. One of the last thing we might want to do here is to play and use ghost note in order to change the rhythm. So instead of trying to integrate ghost note in your regular playing, being it bass line or solo, just using it as a way to build new rhythm by themselves. So once again, start very simple, and just with just a beat. You could do that with a metronome, but just trying to modify the bar length and to change the first beat. I mean, use it as a rhythmical device to kind of change the way the rhythm is going. Yeah, so a lot of options there. Don't forget, try to really build a little comfort zone and work from there to get out of it. So that was my first example, ghost note. Now a second example with really something totally different. This time focusing a little bit more on the piano. So I really love to use a modulation device, and one of the things I really like is to keep the same voicing and try to move that voicing in an unfamiliar manner. So generally what we're doing is we are adapting our voicing to the harmony. For example, if we're playing in A major, we're going to B, and so we're playing A major, then going to B minor. But one of the really nice things, and I personally love to do it, is to keep the same voicing, so exactly the same color and the same interval, and just move it with different on the different chords. For example, first example, when you had your A major, it would normally naturally go to that B minor, etc. But this time you just want to keep the same voicing, etc. That kind of playing is really interesting because it really creates a lot of color and of texture. So instead of playing with a strong harmony point in mind, just start from an ID, from a voicing ID, an intervallic ID, and just use it to build more and more chord change and chord progressions. Now, once again, we're improvising there, so there's no need to try to repeat things or build something very intricate. Just managing that kind of music material, which is modulating using the same kind of voicing, is really it's really already something really strong that needs to be worked a lot. And once you're familiar with that, maybe you can build a composition by just repeating something that's cool until you have a strong ID. But once again, exploring and taking the time to expand the IDs is really the important part we're talking about today. So once again, let's start from our A major with a major 7 voicing and see where it goes from there. So same thing we did with the ghost notes. Let's try to focus on something that I like. So in this case, but you. I find it quite interesting to move from major to minor. At one point we had that. So that's one of the first thing you want. So keeping the same voicing but moving into minor. And the other thing is using more and more chromatisms, because in my case, when I'm using that kind of parallel voicing, I have the tendency to follow some kind of a diatonic bass line and adding those chords, but the chromatism is really cool. So let's try to focus on those two elements, switching from major to minor or from minor to major with the same bass or same bass chord. And the other one is using chromatism in order to manage and to transfer from one chord to the other. So once again, let's start from the same A major 7. So a lot of ideas came from here. The Going back a fifth as well is a really nice way to move, so I might explore that more. So from A to E, from E to B, from B to F sharp. That might be a new thing to explore. So once again, using improvisation in order to expand stuff. But once, of course, you've opened all those doors, it's really nice to choose a path. And if you're going to compose from an improvisation, it's just about making choices. So just to wrap up today's session, we talked about mainly using improvisation as an expanding device for what you're working on. And we used two examples, ghost notes and how to go from a very simple and more classic use of ghost notes where you put them on parts of the beats coming back regularly, and going more and more into using it as an articulation within all your playing. And the second example was about modulating using a fixed or the same kind of voicing. Instead of adapting your voicing to the harmony you're playing, it's more about using that voicing shape as a constant pattern to use to modulate. So I hope it gave you idea, and I hope it was linked to your own playing and exploration, and I hope to see you soon for the next bass and creativity session. Bye bye.